good night, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to Le Wagon tonight. So I'm Mathieu. I'm one of the founders of Le Wagon Brazil and Latam, actually, which is a bootcamp that we teach coding in 9 weeks. And among us tonight, we have a lot of students in their last week of projects, and they're going to showcase their products on next Friday, so you can feel the anxiety and stress around. And that's why some people won't even look at us and just focus on their bugs on their machines. And tonight we have Roman, who's a product manager and Latam director, which is kind of an awkward combination of jobs of Transferwise, and going to tell us a little bit about this amazing company. That I had the chance to see, I told you that I had the chance to see when I was a VC in a former life as a startup raising money, and I really liked it, but of course I didn't invest it because I'm stupid, like Bitcoin and all the rest of stuff I missed. But it's an amazing journey, so we are really glad to have you and first to know more about Transferwise, but also to know your own journey in the company and your whole background. So thank you very much for coming with us tonight.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here. It was a long journey here.
Yeah, you're from?
Yeah, I'm arrived actually from Estonia. So, but I'm originally from Ukraine. So some sort of wanderlust. So I like traveling a lot. So here, I'm presenting Transferwise. Transferwise is an international money transfer system. And we are enabling people to send money abroad, faster, cheaper, and easier than the other people do. How we have achieved this? Very easy. So it started with the story of two Estonian dudes, Kristo and Tavet. So Kristo was working for Deloitte in London, and Tavet was the first employee of the Skype. He was working in Skype, and Kristo has his mortgage in Estonia, and Tavet has also an apartment for which he needed to pay in London, and they understood that sending money with some bigger banks, they cost them real fortune. For example, exchange rates they were losing was 5%. So they decided to create a group in Skype, and Kristo was paying for his stuff in London for Tavet, and Tavet was doing back the same. So they've invited a lot of people into this group.
Peer-to-peer.
Yeah, peer-to-peer. There was 300 people in this group, and they decided why not to build a product about it. So they built first MVP, and it has received a lot of traction here. Right now, Transferwise is sending over £1 billion every month all over the world. So
you were not at the company at the time. Do you know how bad was the MVP? What was the level of MVP?
Level of MVP was really interesting. So it was just a web page with the ability to submit a form. So we are writing, okay, I want to
transfer euro to
I want to transfer
dollar.
euro to GBP. So there was two routes: euro to GBP and GBP to euro. So people were submitting form. Kristo was receiving email. There he was contacting people. There, okay, here's my account number, transfer money there, and give me bank account details and so on. Yeah,
and trust me.
And people actually
trust me, I am Estonian.
Yeah, so and actually this stuff worked. So this was the first MVP that we built. There is literally no functionality behind this. It was coded by Kristo. Some of his code is still lurking in the deep ends of Transferwise, but at some point, we'll get.
It's like a museum. They keep it.
A museum, yeah. Beautiful artifact. Then we built a proper website and received investments and started actually building it in a proper solution. Right now we have 800 people in the company. We have more than 47 currencies open in Transferwise. So and we are covering more than 600 possible routes. And we are also operating in Brazil. We are enabling people to send money from and to Brazil. So
people, not business yet.
Not business yet, but stay tuned. We have a lot of wonderful products coming to the Brazilian market.
Hopefully.
Yes. So that's shortly about Transferwise. About myself, I'm well, started as a, I have my own company. I had like developing like web services and stuff, and I understood that like, well, my business was not working out, but like I had huge experience like building the company. So like one of my friends like offered me a chance to join them as the first product manager. Is in one of the biggest Ukrainian e-commerce right now. So we like right now like this company has reached 80% of market share of e-commerce in Ukraine, and I was like first product manager there. Then I had like long journey working in the constructor sites, like e-commerces, different like photo stocks, like deposit photos and so on. So right now, yeah, I'm joined as a product manager, product lead for Latin American region, and we are like fastly expanding over the Brazil and the rest of the Latin American markets. So we had Mexico, Colombia, Chile, Peru, and yeah, a lot of wonderful.
What's interesting in Transferwise is that the product experience needs to be adapted for every single route, actually, because for every route you need different questions, different CPF for Brazil and taxes.
Yes, yes.
So that's a crazy product to handle. I mean, so many questions and documents to be analyzed. How do you?
Yes.
Do you have a product manager for every currency or country? How does that work?
So in the beginning we were like currencies team. So we had like 10 people in the beginning. So we have like banking people who are like opening relationship, like engineers, and one product manager initially there. So for example, how we operate. In order to operate in some country, we need to open a bank account there. And banking person goes, finds some banks, we finds the deal, we open bank account there. Then we need to redistribute the money somehow. So for this, we need like a technical infrastructure there, like or like uploading a batch file or building like an API and so on. And of course, we need the money deposited there. So we follow the concept of MVPs, very fast MVP. So like we need to start as dirty as possible, just to test if there is like any traction there in there. So we are not like doing like very complex stuff. Usually like integrations are like very simple. So like we send file to the partner. He returns us a statement that the file was uploaded with all the like required like fields that like regulators ask us to do this. So it's like very simple, just like an exchange of files. So no complex stuff. And some people think it's like quite complex, but it's actually quite easier to do.
Okay, and what's exactly your job as a product manager? I mean, how do you organize your job? How often do you talk to user against talking to developers?
That's a question that my wife asks me from time to time.
She doesn't understand what you do.
What do I do here? So like,
how come you have to go to Brazil that often?
Yeah, I try to like look UFO, like and try to run to other directions. But actually, like product manager role in Transferwise like evolved a lot. So at first, like we were so we needed like to do an integration. Someone needs to figure the requirements. And we talked with the partners, like gathered all the information, trying to find some engineer to build it. So it was like quite chaotic at first place, and eventually it's evolved. So I do like 3 major things right now. I build the vision. I will explain what is the vision. So I understand like how our product will be looking like in like 3 or 5 years for the Latin American market. I understand, so for example, we need to reach a certain criteria in our products in order to offer a proper solution to our customer, and actually being the first one here. Second one is building the team. So unfortunately, like product managers are not scaling. So like writing the requirements, analyzing the data, speaking with the partners, it's like impossible to handle for the 1 or 2 or like even 3. people. So we have a concept of product engineering in our team. So engineers do not like receive like requirements and do the coding stuff. So engineers understand product a lot and actually able to do the full cycle. They are able to go to the partner, find out what are the requirements, what kind of product should look like, is it good or bad, and actually build the full solution. So I'm helping the team with the feedback and so on.
Your own personal background is in engineering or
Yeah,
marketing?
my personal background is engineering. I was
Computer science?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to say I was starting building stuff in PHP. So
just as long as you left it, it's okay.
Yeah, and then I went to the QA automation, and then I understood that like when I started like my own enterprise, so like building a product and stuff.
Yeah, you were doing everything.
Yeah. So that's how you scale eventually, because you're not able to code or do everything alone. You need to find people who will help you on this journey. So and the last thing, but not the least, that what I do in this organization is communication. Transferwise consists of like 45 autonomous teams, and we have like no hierarchy in our team. So that means that like I'm able, or my team is able to do any part of the code. They're able to do apps, they're able to do some backend stuff, some front-end stuff. And this means that like we have like so-called concept of weak code ownership. So if we do stuff, we just like need to have a review from the corresponding team, and we are able to do everything.
And every team of 45 is able to code,
yes.
spec, communicate.
Yes.
It's like a little startup.
Yes, like a little startup.
And yours is Latam.
Yes. So we are building a Latam specific product on top of that we have like at the moment. So
the CTO doesn't need to look at
no.
every single country, and that's why you're so quick.
No, CTO like doing like very CTO-ish job.
He has his own wife too.
Yeah, to explain. But don't tell Krista is his wife, so one of the founders. So he always tells, try to ask from the CTO. So what the hell are you doing? Why we have like hired you? And our founders love to ask these questions a lot. So it's like so-called like feedback culture in our team. So if you are doing something, that doesn't mean that like you need to report or agree with the board and stuff. You're just able to go and do it, but at some point you need to answer some like hard questions, and these hard questions are really helping you to understand yourself, are you on the track or not. So to define your responsibilities, the product, and so on. So like our team is very good at asking very hard questions.
But the hard question is like, how much did it cost?
How much did it
return
cost?
on investment?
Why you have spent 2 weeks on these slides and presentation and so on. Yeah. It's like a real life story. So like when there's like very beautiful slides, so like how much time you've invested? Why you haven't invested this time into the building proper product for our customers?
The last time I heard you, and the first time I heard you actually, you were saying that one of the very specific thing about Transferwise is that in terms of communication, you said you handle that too. It's mostly product, so improving the product and communicating the vision. Mm-hmm. But you don't do proper, classical marketing like TV or Google Ads or this kind of stuff a lot. Or
we do this stuff, but it also comes in a certain point of development of our product.
But the proportion of efforts done on the product against communication, if you compare with the banking, traditional banks, is
it's way different. So traditional banking, it's always talks and meetings. So like we try to spend more of time actually doing stuff. So but if like all the communication flows are working properly in the team, like you don't need to communicate much. So that's why, for example, like engineers are looking into the product, for example. So I will not like explain every time like how how do you need to build a product for the engineer. So it's might be tough at the beginning, especially when people not coming from the product companies, but in the end, like, well, it's more exciting because you are like deciding how this product is going to take shape.
And how do you get insights from your users? I mean, you run a lot of user test sessions, or I mean, you, for instance, Brazil, you've been there 6 months, I think. It's been launched.
Yeah, and in Brazil, it's very specific market. Like Brazilian people give feedback even if you don't ask. So we always have plenty of feedback. And,
good or bad, but mostly good.
Yeah, so like it's very positive and constructive at the moment. So we have like a lot of smart people giving like feedback as our customers how we should do stuff and be implemented some of these things. So, but usually how it works, we are with what we are starting. When we are like launching some MVP, we are not like doing some product at all. So we are building like some very simple form when we gather emails or some info from the customer. So we just like get them emails, we do some sort of like press release, how in our assumptions product is going to look like, and we pitch it to the customer and see their reaction and receive feedback. If feedback was good and we actually building something right, we release minimum like actually working product and see how they interact. We do the surveys there from the customers. We have a lot of data analytics tools, build like Mixpanel, Google Analytics, a lot of survey forms, and we use NPS as our main way of collecting feedback. So NPS is Net Promoter Score. So there are like 10 people, we ask people like, how likely are you going to recommend your friend from scale from 1 to 10? Yeah, and people who ask 9 and 10, they are like promoters. People who are lower, and I guess under the 6, they are like neutrals.
So 0 to 6 is minus 1.
Yeah, and below are detractors, so they are not happy with something. We divide detractors from overall amount, promoters from overall amount, and it's like number like Net Promoter Score. And they are like writing comments there as well. And also,
can I mention your score? Because
yes.
you said it last time. Transferwise has a score of 85. The maximum score you can get is 100, and the minimum is minus 100, which is basically the one of ranking in Brazil. And plus 5, just to give you an idea, plus 85 is way above industry average. So Spotify and Deezer, that I know because I used to work at Deezer, we have like 50, 60. Classical services, online e-commerce has like 25, 30. Apple, back in the days of the iPhone and the craziness, was like 75, I guess. So 85 is like really, really high.
Yeah, also in some countries we have...
Actually, I don't know any other online service that have higher...
it's a good question, like I also don't know.
No,
also in some countries you don't need to trust this stuff. For example, like there is like Indonesia. Yeah, people always rank you 10, no matter how bad your product is. It's just like very polite. That's what happens in Brazil, for example.
They don't recommend, but they say they will.
Yeah. For Brazil, if it worked, they like push 9 to 10. But if they didn't like some experience, then write their feedback in the comments section. I have a lot of feedback. I'm reading like hundreds of comments every week from the customers. So you need to take this score with a grain of salt. For example, in UK, in Europe, it's representative, but in some countries it could be not representative. So in order to make it more fair and understand for us, we use some machine learning algorithms to extract sentiments from these comments. So we understand if customer mentions speed, price, and so on, we gather them as a groups, and our algorithm says like, like what is like real sentiment there, in order not to trust this behavioristic like of food in the store. So we actually extracting the information from what people are saying.
But comments on social media or comments in your product?
In your product, in social media. So whenever we have gathered the comments, we can use machine learning stuff there. So it's like gives us, so you don't need to read actually all these hundreds of cases. You just need to tune this algorithm properly. And before I really was reading a lot of these things. It's like very time consuming. So that's how we analyze our score, and basically we have like 3 main areas, like maybe 4. Price, so are we cheap enough? Speed, are we fast enough? Convenience, if where is there any trouble? Usually trouble starts when customer like was sending money, and then like boom, like we need to ask from the document because of the like local regulations and so on. They like I've seen like very convenient product, and at some point like we started asking like extra stuff from them. So it's like something that can disrupt the convenience, and we are like fixing it like in many different ways. And the fourth is coverage. So for example, there are like naturally groups of Brazilians, for example, who moved to the Golden Coast in Australia. For example, for them, like our product from Brazil to Australia is very popular. So, but if we wouldn't have the Australian route, this means like we have been lacking some of our growth. So we need to build a network as well. So that's why we are expanding in Latin America.
But the routes, it's not just opening the country Australia. It's also opening a route from a country to another.
Yeah, some routes are blocked, for example.
So it doesn't. If you open a country, you don't open all the routes to all the other countries of Transferwise day one.
In most cases, yes, but in some cases there are like some restrictions. For example, like we are not able to send money to Somalia.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah, so we have like all this like blacklisted
North Korea,
North
Venezuela.
Korea, yeah, and so on. Like only, so we are not finding pirates and so on. So there's like some risky routes, for example, like US to Nigeria and so on. So there's like historically was like a lot of fraud in the region, and you need to be careful and understand like if risk actually worth it, because there could be, well, in most cases like fraud is like very low and we are able to detect it, but in some routes it's like could be 30% of the traffic. So that's why you really need to consider the losses here. So that's why we don't have like coverage in Taiwan in some currencies.
And just to explain better, when you arrived in Brazil, because not everybody has tried to send money abroad, which I've done in the past and I know how painful it is, but can you describe the traditional way and what Transferwise is doing right now in terms of time and efficiency, a number of steps? And
traditional way is just
pricing.
Traditional way is just like swifting money abroad, so you go to your local bank. And you
go to the agency or you call. You cannot do it on internet banking.
Yeah, you cannot do it.
No, I tried. I can't.
Yeah, so you need to go and like they say, okay, here are the documents. Of course, you don't have every document. You need to find these documents, prove your residence, prove your income. You look ugly on your driver license, or like whatever, like your fingerprints were removed, and like I don't know, a lot of different stuff. But like in most cases, you're not able to do it at one go. So when finally you need to find a smart enough person in the bank and so on, it's also like a matter of luck. I just like told like that like taken me like 4 weeks in order to open bank account in Brazil. So
4 weeks.
Yeah,
that's not the worst I heard.
Yeah. But I knew like how the system works, and I prepared really well for it. But it has taken some time. So when you did all this stuff or gathered all these documents, guy goes and consults to the system and say, okay, there is like a mid-market rate, like some rate that we are going to give you, like out of the box. You don't know like if rate is fair or not, so you just need to or agree or disagree with this stuff. And then they're like sending this like money abroad, and all the different stuff can happen depending on the countries. And like if they see like money origin is Brazil, they can revert your payment. It can take like a lot of time because there is like a chain of the banks. They're not sending it directly. They're sending it like with a chain of like correspondent banks, and the more banks are in this chain, the longer it will take because they need to check the payments on every stage. So eventually your money arrived, like you feel poor after this, you are frustrated and exhausted after this payment. It's only one.
It costs you 3% or 4%.
Well, I've seen very outrageous prices here in Brazil, up to 12%. So,
12%?
yes.
Okay.
So if you have like some like cool accounts like Personality or Prime, you can get well up to 6, maybe 5. From what I've seen, it's not representative information, but so it's like the cheapest option
So
that I've seen.
it take you 10 days. You have to go to the bank, and it costs you
5 to 6.
6 and up to 12.
Yeah,
if you're
yeah. Imagine like that you're like moving to UK, you're selling your house, and your house like costs like 100k euros, and you need to add 6k euros to the bank. So I don't believe it's fair. So
Now, Transferwise, how do you do it?
yeah, so we do it like an actually simple way. We don't do it through the SWIFT system, so we do it with our own network. So you deposit money in our account, and we convert this money and deposit or like safeguarding all this like liquidity and stuff. And our system tells us the bank in the different country to make a payout. So we don't actually need to physically receive money there. So we know that there is like equivalent.
So you don't transfer actually, you just compensate all the time.
Yes, so we are just like, it's like liquidity, like we call it like liquidity, it's not very liquid, it's like pours the needed money to the place.
So you have to make sure that there are as many people sending from Brazil to Europe, for instance, that's Europe to Brazil back.
Yes.
Which is not always...
Yes, it's base case scenario, and this is not always where people tend to send more money from the country than to the country. So that's that's a given fact. So there are routes like Mexico when they like send more money to Mexico than from Mexico. But in most cases, people send money out of the country. Yeah, so that's how we work. If there is
in terms of pricing, how do you? So it's not a percentage.
Huh?
Oh, yes, for Transferwise, how do you make money? If you apply
so
the mid-market.
Yeah, we apply the mid-market rate, which is used for trading currencies all over the world. So we get this information from Reuters and Excel, like providers of this mid-market rate, which actually is used by the banks in order to do all exchange between them. Actually, like banks have like mid-market exchange rate between them, but for some reason they are not giving it to the customer. So
for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason, and different reasons. I don't know. I've seen many helicopters flying in Sao Paulo. So, yeah, hope someday to have one. So
go work in the bank.
Yeah. No. I've been here. I've seen some people. So. No. I don't love money that much.
You don't have the banking look. I'm not sure they're going to hire you.
Yeah, so what do we do? So we understand, for example, in order to send money, we need like people, like engineers, to code this stuff. So it's considered part of the price. Then we need like operational people who are helping like unstuck your problems, verification, who checks your documents, and also need to pay for them. We also carry some technical costs and so on. And we know this cost, and we price this cost with some like very small margin there. And that's why we are able to actually keep it up like very low, and also like as we are doing like local payouts, we don't pay the SWIFT fees, we pay the local fees only, and yeah, that's helps a lot.
And what's amazing is that as a customer, you see exactly how much it costs.
Yes.
You know how much money will be received in the exchange currency.
Yeah.
And you know how much in your currency is going to cost you on top of that.
Yeah, for example.
Which you never really are able to calculate with a traditional system. It's always like, I'm going to apply you this fee, but we maybe have some extra fee that you don't know. And at the end, the guy calls you back and say, you were supposed to send me 10K, I received 9.5. Okay.
And then the most amazing trick they do, so you are sending this like 100K, and you say like, how much is the fee? Like 60 pounds fee. Like 60 pounds is too much. Like it's too much. Okay, like you're a good customer.
We don't apply
we will not apply any fee, but fee is in the exchange rate. Actually, so and you're like so happy on sending money, and then you start asking your friends, and they use Transferwise and say like, okay, like, there was actually mid-market rate, and you lost 6,000. Then like customers is in the rage. So. That's how the traditional business looks like. But in some cases, like our goal is like not to be the only player. Like we want like other people also play fair in the market and reducing the fee. If other like people who start dropping the fees, as well, it means like our mission is proper and we are doing the right thing. So we have like seen it like in some markets actually. Banks, exchange houses started offering like less outrageous stuff because of us.
Can you give us just an idea of the volume? You were saying at the last time I saw you per month that are, I mean, from the company is 7 years old, 8 years old?
Yes, 7 years.
7 years old. So from zero to how much money is transferred monthly today in Transferwise?
Yeah, we started with one.
If you can communicate on that.
Yes, it's open information. So we started with 100K pounds sending.
Per month?
Yes.
First month?
Yeah. And so it was Chris and his friends. So it's like 300 people there. And right now we are sending 1 billion pounds.
It sounds
yeah.
Sounds big.
Yeah, sounds big. So so and we are growing like very fast, like 18% month to month. So.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to open for questions. So if we already have one, go ahead.
You were the first one with this new marketing with internet. Now it's surviving some more concurrent meetings or some preparing priorities. How Transferwise is working to be always on the top?
So, like, to be fair, I would say we are not always on the top. So, for example, there are like markets that like we are offering the same price. For example, like from US to India. So there is like highly competitive market, and there are
US, India.
Yeah, and there are a lot of players that like doing the dumping policy. So they're trying to keep it like as low as possible, like even like in negative value, but we see them like dropping down naturally, and people staying with actually sustainable price there. So it works in the short term, but doesn't work in the long term. So we are like feeling like pretty confident there. If we see that like other people are able to do it like in a sustainable way, for us it's like a reminder that we have missed something somewhere. So, and it's like an ability for us to.
What's interesting with this question is that how do you fear the new banks? And I'm not playing on the name of one of the banks here, but because
they're good friends of us. So.
Yeah, but the new you were going to tell us about the API, but if you have a good bank which starts opening in various countries, you don't need Transferwise anymore. If it's directly in your internet banking that you can transfer with a good fee, you could be bypassed by today no one knows any that you can recommend, but this is something that could long term be a competitor, or maybe you're going to turn yourself into a proper bank. But
if someone will start doing properly, It means that our mission work is working. So
Yeah.
so
Okay.
but it didn't happen much so
But
far.
you can tell us about how you work with some fintech. I know you're a partner, for instance, with Number 26, which I'm a customer of.
Yeah.
How does you open up an API?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about it?
So our idea is not like to destroy the banks or like we believe that like infrastructure is a little bit broken and we are like plumbers of the financial world. So like, we are trying to fix all the stuff with giant umbrella. So for example, like we are like, offering a bank, so they are also paying the fees for the SWIFT and they have the risks with the exchange rate. So for them, using like the traditional systems is also very expensive. So they're not doing it out of like goodwill in most cases, and we are like offering them like an alternative here. So we have like an API which banks are able to connect and use our own network in order to send money abroad for their customers. They can use it like for their own liquidity, for the money transfers of their clients. So we are actually like trying to give a better product. We have like right now 3 integrations with Bank N26, with Sterling Bank and LHV, it's like local Estonian bank.
Are you talking with any bank?
Yeah, so
Brazil?
we were talking with many banks. So, and usually the main problem of these banks that they don't have like an exchange license there.
You need that.
Yeah, you need that. So you need to have like a lot of different licenses for different purposes in Brazil and in every.
But you have it in Brazil?
Yes.
Okay.
So, well, our partners have it.
Yeah, you open a bank account inside.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
So it's another license. You have the banking license, and then on top of that you have the exchange. It's not the same.
Yeah. So it's not the same. So there are different types of the licenses, and Brazil is a good example of where we have like a lot of types of different licenses. So
is it the world champion of licenses?
No, Colombia is like
Colombia. Okay.
Is very close competitor.
It's a Latin American.
Ukraine, Russia as well. So I'm originally from Ukraine, so like I feel like in Brazil like at home. So.
That's in Ukraine that you dumped the politician in a dumpster. No, I've seen an image. It's not in Ukraine.
There's like so many stories of it. Okay. They're more funny.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So yeah. So like Slavic countries are known for this also like mess. With the financial sector.
But Estonia is known for the opposite. It's super efficient, right?
Yes, Estonia is super efficient and it's very super small as well. So it's like
maybe it's easier to be efficient when you're so small.
Yeah, so it's kind of the only way to survive as a country, as an organization, is to be super efficient. That's why Estonia is super good. Like it's very hard to build all the online stuff for 200 million people. For 1 million is 200 times easier to do. So
makes sense. Yep. Any other question? Yeah, go ahead.
1 million NOK is something. Did you, as a company, did you raise some concerns from the countries about money laundering?
Mm-hmm. It's a very good question. So, yeah, money laundering and like terrorism is like a bane of finance system. So we have our like in the countries we are working under the local anti-money laundering counter-terrorist law. So we are like comply with every regulation, and like Transferwise is known for actually doing this stuff. So we are like reporting activity and stuff and working closely with the governments in order to do this. For example, not many companies are actually doing this and exchanging the information, but we actually need to do it. So we have like our own like anti-money laundering unit, counter-terrorist unit, like anti-fraud, and so on. So we are like very strictly following this, and we have like a lot of interesting stuff to fend this off. So we have like 5 product teams related to this, so which are building the specific tools in order to overcome it. So I guess we are like in very safe position here.
And how do you say, a tax paradise? I mean, all the tax havens. Sorry, tax havens. Can you transfer to the islands in the Caribbean? Is this something that you have open, or is it too risky and you won't do it?
So I can tell you in the private quarter.
I wish I had money to transfer.
No. Yeah. So there are like different countries which pose a higher risk, and for example, like transfers into these countries are like closely monitored. So we have the monitoring system in place, and actually to do this. So we are considering all this, like it's like million of risk levels, but we try to balance them in order like not to hurt the normal customers. So it's called like KYC, know your customer, which not why it's know your customer is because like you need to identify bad customer and do not touch the good customer. If you're understanding what is good behavior and what is bad behavior, you're able to overcome this easily.
If you see money from Brasilia to Virgin Islands, I wish. I think you should have a
I guess you can always try.
Yeah, you can trust, but you can, I would look into it. Go ahead.
So did you already have some governmental interventions over this kind of track centralization?
So main purpose of this unit that we have that it won't happen. So so it's better to prevent something that than to fix it. So if you are following all the local regulations, all the policies, you work close to the government, you report the stuff, there will be no intervention because you are considered a good player. Yes. So it's our policy.
So what you guys do day to day is making, based on the infrastructure that exists today, a more efficient system of transfer of money from one place to another. How do you guys see cryptocurrencies which are doing that on a different level?
If someone didn't ask, I would miss this question. So yeah, so
I think I asked you last time for that.
yeah, it's like very popular question, like, but it's also a good one. So it seems there is an interest in it.
If you will have the question proportionate to the price of Bitcoin, so prepare also.
Yeah, I need someone drag like a t-shirt with me, like I'm 2 meters tall, I'm from Estonia, I don't believe in cryptocurrencies and so on. And so on, like and other stuff. Our founders, I guess one of the founders have this kind of t-shirt. So it's just like you cannot imagine how often this question is asked. So it's good, but like think through the following stuff. So you when you're like using Bitcoin somewhere, you can freely send it like with almost no fees there, but you need to exchange Bitcoin to real money somewhere, and exchange which is doing this will get the same fee as a broker. So until it's solved, it's not a real alternative from our side. So we prefer to build to fix already broken stuff. And
it's actually one more step because there is a currency in between two currencies. So.
Yeah, so you can actually like
unless you keep your money in Bitcoin, which
So like when you will be freely able to do it, of course, it's would be amazing. But right now, the most popular use it's like actually to exchange them to the real money, and then here we go again. So, just another currency.
But could Transferwise open Bitcoin as a route?
I don't see why not, but in some, as we are like operating like many jurisdictions, we need to comply with all of them, and cryptocurrencies are not accepted in most of them. So so it means like, for example, we can add Bitcoin, but it will be not accepted in the many currencies as exchange, whereas we need to always our product needs to be correspondent to point A and to point B. So that's also like the big blocker. When there will be like proper regulations, there will be in most of the countries. Well, I don't see why, but we have a long way to go.
When you describe your teams, how your engineering works, it sounds like a very mature culture, very mature way, very hands-on. That's a nice picture, but it's
what is the backside?
It's invisible. That's
the
usually
truth?
the natural way. How did you get that?
So
what was your challenge to get to this point?
So we had a very, very, very high standard for people that we are hiring to the team. So to this point, I don't realize how I was hired to the Transferwise. No, it's a good question.
It's a mystery.
Boom, you're hired. So like I've passed through the many interviews, and I was like feel like soul extracted, analyzed, and like put back. So so that's one answer to the question. If you put a lot of effort and actually making no compromise in the people whom you're hiring, then you ensure that your culture stays really good and strong for many years. Because like if you start making compromises in hiring, it can go very wrong. There is like a good joke about it. So like A people hire A people, B people hire B and C people hire dogs. So that eventually can happen if you're not maintaining like a very high culture of people, and that's like one of the major points which helps the autonomous team. So it's like the concept of anarchy in the world. It's not like crushing punks and stuff. Anarchy is like people being able to take proper decisions by themselves without like any intervention there. And it's only achievable with high personal development, actually. So we are like kind of like perceiving this goal, and so it's one of the key points. And also we value communication a lot in the team. So like you don't need to report anything to someone, because like reporting kills all the culture, but you need to build relationship. For example, you understand that you are working with a team in Transferwise in future with different teams, so you go to this team and you establish relationships. You try to understand how you can like, benefit from each other, and so you can drink beer, 1, 2, and so on. Like a relationship improves over the beers and so on.
How many nationalities work at? Do you know that?
65 different nationalities.
And in your team? Is it only Brazilian in your team?
No, it's overall in Transferwise. I guess.
How many people work for Latam?
75.
75 for Latam?
For Latin America.
Wow, out of 800.
Yes.
Wow, so it's a big market.
Yeah. So we are quite also.
But not everybody here.
Yeah. So we have like people all over the world, in Tampa, in London, in Estonia, in Ukraine, in New York. So we are like very redistributed and diverse teams. So we have Ukrainians, Nigerians, Venezuelans, Bolivians, Argentinians. Brazilian is the core. Like Ukrainians and Brazilians is the core part of the teams. It's like very fun fact. So yeah, so we naturally tend to work good together.
This question is from Matt. You had a chance to invest in Transferwise, and you said no.
No, actually, I was leaving my fund at the time, but I said we should invest in them, and they said yeah. And I left. I remember clearly this conversation. We were like, it seems complex. The banks will kill them. Sure. Today, of course they know, but they forgot that I was the one raising my hand and saying, hey, I found the guy interesting. I have many stories like that. I was a bad. I think I had good flair for investment, but really bad at selling the idea to my committee. So.
Communication, you couldn't work at
Yeah, you need to be very good about selling stuff, because you cannot tell a person to do stuff.
No, I know. But anyway.
You can be fired for this in transfer,
It's,
for example.
and when you're an investor, I mean, you forget about the thing you did and went wrong, and I have done many. This, no problem. But the one that you should have done and missed, this one, you wake up at night and say, wow. Okay, do you have maybe a last question?
I have a usual question. It seems there is a limit between Brazil to Europe of 9,000 reais. Why?
Why?
There is a law of that you need to do the additional KYC if transfer is above this amount, and it's like a little bit like outrageous for boletos. So we have payment method boletos. You know that like.
So to overcome the limits, you would ask so many things that it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So so there is like another way. Right now we are like implementing bank transfers. So with bank transfers we can offer like a higher limits and more faster and actually cheaper method to send money abroad. So with this like we're going to remove the limits at all.
Cool. Okay. Last question, and then we'll have beers because I heard that.
I really want a beer.
That's how you manage. That's the secret recipe of the culture. So
Yeah.
this we are good at.
When you start talking about how it started the project, the company, you talking about MVP. It's hard today to create an example, an e-commerce, and have the people who believes that will bring the product or it's a serious company. When you talk about money, I think it's harder than a simple product, because today I will start a company that promised to send money, to bring money to A to B, and in this stage of MVP, how did you make the people believe that wasn't fake, that was serious?
Yeah, so very good question. So we like our marketing structure in Transferwise is around like 20% of all the customers. So like we are paying for the 20% of the customer. Other people.
You're saying out of 100 customers, 20 were acquired,
Yes.
80 is organic. That's what you're saying?
80 is organic, and they are being recommended by previous customers that has used the Transferwise. So in this case, you don't need to convince it, because the person who used it actually convinces you to use it. So if you trust someone, like you will give it a try. So that's how it started initially. There were like 300 people who were knowing each other and so on, and they started recommending. We also have a means of boosting this. For example, we are well known for our like stunts. So like we always say like we have no hidden fees. So there's naked people running on the street. So and this like brings attention, and people start to doing the videos on YouTube. Like there is mention of transfers, they start to Google and so on. It's like we give people something to talk about.
And how long time took this stage?
I would say the like real kickoff started like around 3 years ago when I joined. So yeah, so that's we started like doing a lot of this stuff.
But I would say that you need to start with a club. Like as you said, it started with the people at Skype.
Yeah, it's like it was like small club.
And then
but
you expand from there.
But yeah, it started to expand when like we realized that problem is so big. It's actually very easy to convince people if you show like what is going on. And our like mission is more educational, to showing like, hey, like actually 70% of people don't know that like all the exchange rate is hidden there. So if your company has this kind of problem to solve, you can actually count for the like acquiring customers with your word of mouth.
So 8 years ago, you already had Western Union, PayPal. So they had conflict.
Yeah, but they were not
super expensive.
super expensive. So,
And the educational part is really part of the product. And when you go on Transferwise, you put the money you have, you select the currency you want to transfer it to, and they say this is going to be the amount people receive or you receive, and that would be the amount you would receive if you use traditional bank, and it's like 10% lower. And we're like, wow. and it maybe it's not entirely true because it's based on average, but you feel like you're doing a really good deal, you know?
Yeah,
it's really, you feel good about yourself. You're like, yeah, I'm smart, I'm making that much of saving.
We have that proposition good enough to be so good it have to be a secret club, like you made in the beginning. So
Yeah, exactly.
there's a small club.
yeah, but then you tell, if you believe in this, you tell your friends, family, and so on. So we have like really crazy amount of word of mouth in Brazil. So it's
Brazilians are crazy about word of mouth.
it's way higher.
Every market,
Way
every
higher,
product.
way higher. Like,
Good and bad word of mouth, but Brazilians are basically
yeah, if I feel sad, I just like refresh dashboard with a growth, and and it's really good. But
Yeah.
it's hard. Yeah,
Cool.
but it's good.
Well, Roman, thank you very much. Now it's beer time, and thank you very much to all the good question and audience, and I hope you had a good time and as much as we
Thank
had
you
listening to
for
you.
being here.